Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 402 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. Hopefully, everybody out there is enjoying their summer vacations as we are. Hopefully, you all enjoyed Scott Parker last week. Tremendous interview. And hopefully, you will enjoy our new merch that our buddy Grinelli in the merch department whipped up. Check out the Barstool Sports store in the U.S. and Canada. Of course, we always take care of our Canadian friends. All right, next up is the first of our two Conn Smythe winners we'll be bringing you this summer, and the interview is brought to you by Pink Whitney. Had a nice little party over the weekend, and this stuff was flowing all over. The 5 times distilled vodka infused with fresh pink lemonade flavor. It's a great way to enjoy a refreshing summer cocktail during the summer. So head over to your favorite local bar, bring up a shot or two, maybe throw some club soda in there like I do. Either way, Pink Whitney. Enjoy it. And now, enjoy 2004 Conn Smythe Trophy winner, Brad Richards. Okay, it's time to bring on our guest. This Prince Edward Island native was taken by Tampa Bay in the third round of the 1998 draft that would go on to play 15 NHL seasons. In his 4th season, he was an instrumental part of the Lightning's first ever Stanley Cup, winning the Conn Smythe Trophy with 26 points in 23 games, including a still record 7 game-winning goals. After stints in Dallas and here in New York, where he went to another Stanley Cup final, he won a 2nd Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks in 2015. These days, he's enjoying the summer and life, and it's a pleasure to welcome to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Brad Richards. Brad Richards, how are you doing, Brad?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, boys.
Absolutely. Where's home for you these days? I know you bounced around a bit during your career.
We're down in Jupiter, North Palm Beach area.
Oh, where are you playing down there? This guy's a golf aficionado, people at home. I'm just curious. That's all my questions.
Playing with your buddy Jans at the Slaughterhouse.
Oh, Jesus, the Grove, for people who don't know. I left a lot of money there in MJ's pockets like he really needed
his cigar budget. 20K, that's his weekly cigar budget. I heard that course is awesome in a sense of like, you don't need to drive it too far, but the minute you go over maybe 280 yards, those fairways they start narrow in to kind of help MJ out to carve out his type of game.
You got to be careful with Wayne and Janet too. They take you down pretty quick. Janet putts like a tour pro.
I heard she chisels everybody on the handicaps as well, and that's how she's able to sandbag you.
Yeah, there's a lot of arguing going on for handicaps. Yeah.
That's when you know things get dangerous. Wayne mentioned that to me too. He's like, Janet likes the action. She's the one that wants to get in the action here. So I guess that'd be a hell of a sandbagger competition for us. But
now sticking with golf, I think I saw you in a picture recently with Justin Leonard. Is he still on the PGA?
Yeah. He's just turned 50, so he's going on the Champions Tour.
Oh, really?
We were down. Brad Faxon had us down at Pine Valley a couple weeks ago. So they're buddies. I guess they work together on like golf channel. I don't know. Well, they've played together probably forever too.
So I mean, Whit here, he's been a golf psycho ever since he retired. Were you a player like while you were still playing in the NHL? Were you that good, or was it when you retired you finally had the time to develop your skills and become basically a scratch golfer?
Well, I got drafted to Tampa, so days off here. The older guys were going golfing, so I just figured you better get somewhat decent at this, or you're going to start losing a lot of money. Not that we didn't go anything crazy, but you still, you could if you had a bad day. So like Dave Anderchuk played every day. Back those guys, Tim Taylor. So me and Marty and Vinny and Freddie Modine, and we played as much as we could. So then in Dallas, obviously a bunch of nutcases there that love golf. So Medano and
Morrow's good, right?
Yeah, they played, every chance they got. So I got into it a lot, and then now in retirement, moving down here has been nice to get around a lot of golf.
What's that course I heard Madonna was talking about it in Dallas that Morrow was a member at as well? It's like a men's club, and they said the one rule was you had to wear clothes in the clubhouse because Mickey Mantle used to walk through the buffet line with just a towel on, his cock hanging out.
Yeah, Preston Trail. They made that rule. He would just sit naked the whole time.
The Mick.
Well, I feel like Texas is the type of place you can get away with. Was it no women members, or were there women in this clubhouse staring at his cock?
I'm guessing this was a no women member club.
Yeah. I think it still is, but better be careful what I say. I'm not sure.
We'll somehow get in trouble for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back to your time in Tampa, I would imagine you did some fishing, considering you grew up in PEI. And I was reading that your father was a lobster fisherman, and he kept being a lobster fisherman during your entire NHL career.
Yeah. This is his first year. He's done it since he was, I think he was 14 years old. My grandfather said, "You're not going to school anymore. We need you on the boat." And he's 68 this year, and this is his first time he sold everything and retired. So,
wow. No way.
Did you get sick of lobster as a kid growing up? Just having it around
Never,
all the time?
No.
Good answer.
I love it.
Did you ever work?
The problem is you can't eat it anywhere else.
It's no good for you anywhere else.
No, it's awful the way they do it, but it's great when you get it fresh off the boat that morning.
How do you prefer it? Steamed?
I like it cold.
Okay.
Yeah, steamed, but then I like to put it in the fridge for a while and then eat it later cold.
Did you ever go on the boat with him to get the experience, or did he make you work for him like his father did to him?
Yeah. But I think he knew he knew that he wanted me in a different situation, so he didn't push me too much. He was a good help getting me away from home and into a good high school out at Notre Dame, and so I had a chance maybe to get go to college or something. But he knew that was going to be a tough. There's a lot of people to do it, but it's not a fun. May 1st at 3:30 in the morning could be -5 with snow flying, so it's not a great way to wake up and start the day sometimes.
He saw him get probably seasick and just go shoot 4 million pucks when they got off the boat. He's like, all right,
exactly.
I think he's gonna be okay.
Speaking of that, growing up in such a small town, did you play your minor hockey for your hometown, or did you have to travel quite a bit in order to continue to grow your game and play against caliber talent?
Yeah, I mean, I left home in 9th grade, 14, so it was getting, I grew up in a town of literally 250 people, so we had a rink kind of between 6 towns like that, and we had 11 players, 1 goalie, and 10 kids the same age, and Dad coached us, and we actually won the Atlantic Championships in Pee-wee.
You played 48 minutes.
I think I literally I would play both. He'd put me on defense for the last 6 minutes of the game. Just tell me not to come up. So obviously it was time to go test myself against some different players. So I went out to Notre Dame, and then, that's when I kind of figured, okay, I can play with other people around the country too. So
yeah, so you ended up going there with LeCavalier. Had you met him before going off to school? I don't know how the draft worked in the Q at that time. So had you been drafted?
We were younger.
Okay.
No, we were younger. Yeah. No, we were roommates. I met him when I put my luggage on top bunk, and he was already nestled into the bottom bunk. Yeah, that's how we met. Day one.
I think a lot of people, at least out east, I knew about Shattuck, but Notre Dame is pretty similar, right? I mean, I know it's in Canada, but in terms of the whole prep school hockey experience. But what teams would you play? It's in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, that's the difference. You'd play regular Bantam and midget teams or tier 2 teams. So we weren't allowed to. We had a pretty stacked team, and they didn't really recruit you, but we had guys from all over the place. So we weren't allowed to actually win the Saskatchewan Bantam AAA League. We could play in it, but we weren't allowed to we had to play against midget teams or up and stuff like that. But it was great. We'd go to Calgary, Vancouver. You'd play all those. Played tons of guys. I ended up seeing again in the NHL over the years. But it was a great experience, obviously. And then we got drafted later to the Quebec League. He got drafted, and went, and it convinced me to go play in Rimouski with him the year later.
So there's no thought at that point of college for you, or was there all right, maybe I'll play college?
No,
hockey?
I was really leaning towards Michigan.
No shit.
I think it was 3 weeks before I could start doing that. In 11th grade, it's July. I don't know what the rules are. July
1st.
So it was June 8th or something, the Quebec League draft. So it was kind of like a decision. But Vinny kind of talked me into it, and it was kind of not really many English players would go to Rimouski at that point. I was kind of the first. So we had to work out how we were going to do school, and got me a tutor, and then obviously it worked. And then more, Sid ended up going there, but it was kind of no one really did that as an English player. It's a very, very French town. So, but it helped to have Vinny there to get me through.
Okay, before we go any further, Here's a word from our friends at Shopify. Shopify is the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big business. So upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. Shopify offers online retailers a suite of services, including payments, marketing, shipping, and customer engagement tools. Connect with your customers, drive sales, manage your day-to-day. Shopify instantly lets you accept all major payment methods. Shopify also has thousands of integrations and third-party apps, from on-demand printing to accounting to advanced chatbots and beyond. Go to shopify.com/chiclets, all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/chiclets right now.
Were you hyper-focused on hockey all the way coming up, or was that your first experience of where it almost felt like a job because you guys had to skate so much and start with the trainers and all that kind of nonsense?
Yeah, I think hockey is all I knew. I think just when you leave home and just kind of was lucky enough to play it. Yeah, hockey is just kind of everything. Took me a while, probably like 5 or 6 years into your pro career, you start seeing like the older guys actually have a life and a wife and maybe some kids. They go golf. Like when I first got in the league, I was like, you'd rush home and like have a 4-hour nap and then make sure you're home for bed, all that stuff. But me and Vinny were very like nervous to do anything wrong, and we had Torts as a coach, which had us even more nervous to do some of that stuff. So guys like Andrew Chuck and they really helped to kind of show you that you can relax and have some fun away from the guys.
When you went off to school with Vinny and I guess you're a little undersized, ended up being a 3rd round pick somehow, but with him going first overall a few years later, was it evident already to you though that this guy is like an enormous talent? Was the scouting world already talking about him as a potential first overall pick in '98, or was he late bloomer?
No, when we were in Notre Dame, there was no social media, there was nothing. Everybody was going to be first overall, right? Like we played every guy from Saskatchewan is going to be the next script. So like everybody was awesome. But he went at 16, he went to the Quebec League, and like in the first month and a half, he just took off and he started dominating as a 16-year-old. And that's when, everything kind of happened. And then I stayed in Notre Dame, and then that's when he called me the next year. Rimouski's like, there's your buddy out there, would he come? And so he played a 16-year-old year. I played tier 2 out there, and then I went my 17-year-old year. And then we got drafted in the NHL that same year, which I think helped Tampa. Tampa was at every game and watching him, and then I was their second pick. I think one of the things he basically had to become your translator as one of the talking points? Early on. Yeah, early on was it was nice to have someone speak English. I actually went and billeted with a French family. And like 4 months in, I was like starting to understand everything. It was great. I was dreaming in French by like year 2.
Really? Was that just being around it?
Yeah, just the French girls talking to him in the hallways at school, telling me they're going to fucking suck him off in the bathroom.
I wish I could say I went to school in Rimouski, but that'd be a lie.
That's awesome.
Richie, did you have more culture shock going to Saskatchewan or to Quebec? Being from the
Saskatchewan was crazy. Yeah, if you don't know much, Notre Dame back then too. Like there was no janitors. We did all the jobs. There's no kitchen staff. The students did everything.
Oh wow.
If you didn't, if you read a line, you did. It was called a workout at night, like 10 o'clock, and the grade 12 guys would, you'd be doing push-ups and sprints, and if your bed wasn't made, all this stuff. So it was a culture shock for sure. But once hockey started, it was fine, because then we were just playing hockey every day, and that's where we were comfortable. But yeah, it was a shock to the system out there.
Was it true that like LeCavier had a little something to do with Tampa taking you? I know they didn't have a 2nd round pick that year, but something about him saying like, listen, you got to get this guy next pick in the 3rd round?
I don't know how much, he taught. Like I said, Phil Esposito was running it. Tony, they were at so many games of ours because of Vinny. They had they knew they were probably going to be 1st or 2nd overall pick. So it definitely didn't hurt that, they got to see me. I was playing left wing with Vinny at the time, and I think it was just kind of like everybody was watching him. They thought I was just going to ride in coattails, and so it was good that they saw me enough to take a shot at me.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Like 115 points, the same amount as LeCavier. Did you talk to other teams? Did you go to the combine? Or
how did you not get picked in the second round?
I think LeCavier was cock blocking him, making sure he was going to the Lightning.
He's like, I should have 150 points. This guy's slowing me down.
No, it was weird. I was trying to figure out what else you could do, but it was just hard. Yeah, I think they just thought they wanted to wait to see how I'd be when Vinny wasn't around. But yeah, it was. I was smaller. I didn't grow quite as quick. But like I said, I got a shot. I didn't talk. I think I talked to Toronto and maybe San Jose. That was it at the draft, going into the draft. So.
And there was no talk. I mean, I think you ended up playing your overage year, did you not, for Rimouski?
No, I played 18, 19, like the 2 years after the draft.
Okay, yeah. and then you signed, and then right to the NHL. That must have. How hard was that jump? But I mean, you ended up leading the team in scoring. I know the team wasn't that great that year, and you guys struggled. You ended up changing coaches from Steve Ludzik to John Tortorella, and we're going to get to him. But how hard was that going from junior right to pro?
Yeah, I think obviously lucky to be drafted to a team that like needed young guy. Like, if you get drafted by Detroit at that time, I'm probably in the minors for 4 or 5 years, and who knows what happens, right? But I got thrown right into the fire. I was on the power play the first week, and it was just like sink or swim. There wasn't a lot of options down there. It was kind of, the budget, everything was a little messy. Torts took over, and kind of we got the ship kind of going a little more professional, and we had he just changed the whole culture. He went very young, and he had us like, our training camps were like Navy SEAL boot camps, and we going to change the whole narrative of how to be a pro, and all of a sudden we weren't a laughing stock anymore, and it was just, it was kind of him and his management team that kind of this can't be a golf destination for guys that want to come down and retire.
Had you had a coach like Torts before?
No. Or since.
Was he making you make your bed again, or you had late night workouts just like high school?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
He made him go do the classes he didn't do in high school. He's like, "Fuck off, you're going to school too."
Yeah.
Was it Dubinsky said pray for the Flyers? I saw that came out already.
But there has been comments from him that he regrets the way that he handled your guys' relationship, and I'm sure since then you guys have mended, and you can maybe laugh about it now. But like, can you go to any like stories maybe in detail as to like why it was so toxic at some points? Like it's
like, for him to say that is like,
and the fact that you were the Conn Smythe winner the year you guys won the cup, you think that if anything he'd be playing tummy sticks with you.
It was all in New York. It got. I went to New York because of him. He was the whole reason. I mean, I didn't know the team. I knew Lundqvist was great, but they were kind of. I didn't know the Dubinskys and Callahans and some of these guys, Ryan McDonough, like I didn't know how good they were. I played out in Dallas. You'd see them once a year or whatever. And, Gabby was there, but he's like, we're close, and, it'd be a great spot to play. And I'm glad I did it. And we made a couple runs there. But the lockout year, the half a lockout year, it was a mess. I was struggling. I'm not going to lie to you. And it made it, it makes it harder when, he got me there, and I got a lot of money because of it. And then you're struggling. It's New York, and it just how it is. You just get in your own way out there. And then it got, it just got weird. I wasn't 21 anymore, so I would question some stuff maybe that I didn't when I was younger. And I still think he's a great coach, and it just, sometimes it got a little heated. But we've talked since. It's not perfect, but we've talked and rehashed all the good times we had and the good things we've done together. And I played a lot of hockey under Torts, and we won a Stanley Cup. So
you seem pretty calm. I couldn't imagine many fuck you matches going on with Torts in the office. Would you clear his desk or something?
Yeah, no. he would want, he welcomed that. Yeah. He wanted like a fuck you match all the time. That's not, I just don't know if I could, I don't have that in me to a coach, to go like that at him. But he wanted you in there to challenge him. Sometimes he liked that. He wanted some confrontation as long as you went out, and he loved you coming in and asking for more, why did you bench me? I need more. Or, he'd love that, and he'd throw you right back out, and then, but you had to prove it real quick. But he gave you that opportunity. He did it. He did that with Marty, Vinny too. He challenged Vinny in the locker room. He took his jacket off to try to fight him.
What did Vinny say? Was he speaking in French?
Yeah, I'm all set, dude.
Vinny stood up, and then Andrew Chuck got in between it. But that was before we won the Stanley Cup. That was Again, he was trying to change the culture down there, and that's just Torts. He would think that's normal, and I'm going to make him better if we fight.
He checked the tea time sheet. He fucking saw that the boys had a foursome lined up after practice.
Checking Old Memorial. He's like, who the fuck's playing today? What would you say, it obviously is a culture change, and you went through it. So what are some examples, or if you can even think of any, that he'll bring to Philly? Is it more about just every single day of practice, there can be no passengers in terms of effort-wise in skates, day of games, after games? It's basically that's kind of how he approaches a culture change?
Yeah, detail, just every little detail. Meetings start 10 minutes early. Everything's you're on. You're not, you're prepared. You're there a lot earlier. You're getting your workouts. I remember when he took over our first year in Tampa, it was January or something, and we had 5 games left in the season, and we were one of the worst teams. And all of a sudden, we're doing testing. He didn't care about the games. We were doing 3-mile runs for time, and then we were doing 15 laps 3 times for time, and then 3 laps 6 times for time, in between games. And we didn't know what he was doing, but he was just getting all our times. And then he sent us a letter. Okay, here's your times. You better be way better when you get to training camp. We're going to be doing all this first 3 days of training camp. So from August 1st, that's all we thought about was how are we going to beat these times, and it was his way of you guys aren't in shape. You're not even close to being in shape to play against the best in the NHL, so little stuff like that. And all of a sudden the next couple training camps, that's all we did. It was I remember I played with Marty a lot. Our line, I'd be chasing Marty around at 3 laps times 6. So, you better make sure you're ready to go if Marty's doing 3 laps behind him. So we kind of just kept pushing each other, and we would get off to really good starts, and that kind of fed Torts even more. Look how good our starts are. We're in great shape. So it just kind of took a life of its own. So a lot of video, a lot of details in video and stuff like that too.
Where had he come from? Was that his first NHL head coaching experience then?
Head coach, yeah. He did a little bit in New York as maybe an intern. He took over at the end of one of the years. I don't know, it was Muckler or someone like that.
But he wasn't known yet as Torts, right? That was kind of the beginning.
No, he was quieter. He started in Buffalo way back, when McGillney and.
Oh yeah, he had a mustache too that was unreal. I've seen a picture of it.
And Brad, talking about that team, and when you guys went on to win the 04 Cup, I think you're quoted as saying just the team morale in general was at the all-time high, your funnest year of hockey. Obviously, Torts has done his job in changing that culture, even to the point where I heard that he had you guys staying in the Tampa hotel all together during the entire run where you guys were away from your families. Is that the case?
Yeah. Well, most of us didn't have families, so that probably... And then maybe a few guys that had families wanted to be in the hotel.
They were the ones asking to do it.
Oh,
I remember, we were me and Vinny lived downtown. We were 23 years old. We were so pissed when he said we got to stay in the hotel. Why we have nothing? We got a house right over here, condo right over here, 2 minutes away. Why do we have to go here? But it ended up being so much fun. I think he wanted to get guys away from kids. If everybody's healthy at home and and wife can keep the house going or whatever, get everybody down here and we'll focus. They put a bunch of we had golden tea and ping pong game. We had all this stuff in the room, and we'd watch other games and we just kind of hang out there, and we'd practice. He did it, never done it like that before, but we'd practice on the off days at 4:00. So you'd get all day, he'd have you at home all day, and then you get in at 4, you'd practice from 5 to 6:30 and then walk across and have dinner, and you're in for the night.
Oh, really? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know. We did it in Tampa, and no one's ever done it since.
I got to experience a year with Andre Waugh, who's one of the funniest people of all time. I'm sure you can attest to that. He told me a hilarious story of something he pulled off on the flight back. I think after you guys, after a tough loss, right? Story. Well, yeah. Can you just kind of fill everyone in on that?
It was a Philly series, which was an unbelievable series. Won 7, and no one could win 2 games in a row. And we had a tough loss. We won game 3, and then We could have like went up 3-1 going home, whatever. They tied it 2-2 and it went into overtime or something. I remember the plane was sitting out in the heat. It was like 92 degrees in early June or late May, one freak day in Philly. And the plane was like ready to go. And then we went in overtime. So or something like whatever happened. And they shut the plane down. It was really hot. And one of the stewardess, we get there and one of the stewardess just goes down. She just passes out like heat as we're trying to get the food going. And it's just a scramble and we're trying to get food because we just got off the ice. And Andre puts her apron on, but that's it. He's just totally naked in his apron. And he goes right to the front of the plane to serve all the food to the GM and coaches. That's where he went. He just went right up there like that. And it obviously changed the whole mood of the flight home. And we ended up winning Game 5, win the series. But yeah, he had no. He was hilarious. There's so many stories. Half the stuff I would never be able to tell.
No, exactly. That was the stuff for me. One of them in particular. I'll just think about. But he did these like voices. He could do these noises.
Oh, yeah.
He was like definitely the funniest player I ever played with. And the other question,
he did the noises, the ding dong for the stewardess, the flight attendants. He could do that noise perfect. So he'd do it, and if a new flight attendant, they'd be walking around the plane like, where's and then like she'd turn her back and he'd do it again and she'd come back and look. Like, he's just constantly doing dumb stuff like that.
I think he stole all the Pittsburgh Penguins socks, or maybe he went into Tampa's locker room when he was with the Penguins, and then that same road trip, I mean, much like the flight attendant, he put on the so he skated in warm-up, but he was a healthy scratch that night. So when he took his gear off, he went into the security office room because he knew where everything was in the Tampa rink, and he put one of the security guard outfits on, and after Terrian walked out as the coach to go to the ice, he was there giving the guys knuckles in line.
No, and he was like pretending he was on like the phone, like, on like the earpiece with people. Oh, I remember that. It was so good.
You mentioned it, and there was also quoted you saying that Dave Anderchuk was one of the guys who really taught you to have fun off the ice and really enjoy the game. Like, what are some stories about him? Because we're a little bit younger, where we don't hear about these legends and some of the things that they brought to the rink. Yeah,
they really made you like I've never seen a guy love being at the rink so much, like, and love just everything about being a hockey player. And that's kind of that's how they came into the league. I remember, I don't feel like I'm that old, but like we would leave practice to go to the plane, and he'd make sure we had to stop at this place called the Houlihan's, and it'd be like 10 buckets of Bud Lights sitting there waiting for us, like 45 minutes before the plane's going. But we had to stop, and he had to get some Bud Lights and wings before we get on the plane to play cards. And then you'd land, and he wouldn't even open his bag. He's just at a happy hour somewhere. Not everybody would go, but he didn't care if you came around. But he'd always invited everybody and have a dinner or whatever. And he just kind of made you relax. And he was like the big brother, fun uncle type of guy on the team. And he was the first guy. The best story I ever tell about Dave, Torts separated me and Vinny when we were roommates when we were young, and Torts separated us because I don't know, we were up to something, or maybe we were struggling on the ice. And I'm separating. Dave had his own room, and Tim Taylor had his own room. So they were mad because Torts goes, Vinny's going with you, Tim, and Richie's going with Dave. And he was so pissed because he had his own room. We flew to Atlanta after a back-to-back in Tampa. We flew to Atlanta, and he doesn't even take his suit off. He's like, I'll wake you up for breakfast. I don't want you asking any questions. I'm not really happy about this situation. I'm a roommate. I'll wake you up for breakfast. Don't ask any questions. See you later. So like literally at like 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning, if you're in a hotel room, it's dark. You can see everything, but they can't see anything. They're coming in from the light, and it just this big monster's coming in and I can tell he's going to hit the armoire where the TV is. So I just kind of turn the light on, and he just snaps. Hey, back to bed. I'll wake you up. Like, all right. And I'm like 21 years old. So 21, I would sleep till 9:30 sometimes, so after a game, especially. And literally like 6:45, I get the tap. He's already showered. He's got a coffee like this big. He's got crossword puzzles going. And he's like, let's go to breakfast. And I'm down there like half asleep, 3 hours, way too early. Like I got way more sleep, and I'm over at the rink with him, and I'm like, what are you, this guy's an animal. He might have slept 3 hours. And he was first guy, morning skate. He stays on, work on everything. He'd sit out there and tip pucks with you and work on stuff, and just an animal. And over 600 goals, and showed up every night.
Sounds like Chris Chelios a vet, eh?
There's no bigger sign of an old school NHL vet that loved his beers than crossword puzzles. They all fucking did crossword puzzles. Half of them can't even read, but they can do a crossword
Dennis
puzzle.
Bonvie, one of the dumbest guys I know. No offense, Bones, but he would be doing them, and he would crush them. He would do them in like 10 minutes.
Okay, before we move along here, we're going to check in with our pals at Sling TV, because Sling TV has something for everyone. All your favorite shows on your favorite channels, all right at your fingertips. What you watch is up to you. It really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. So if you're looking for sports, Sling's got you covered with pro and college basketball and football, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, racing, and so much more. You're feeling adventurous? Explore thousands of movies and shows on demand. What kind of mood are you in? No matter what your answer, Sling has what you need. And getting Sling is easy. Sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. You can stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. And the best part is you can pause or customize your subscription at any time. So check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for the price you love. Try us today.
Yeah, I had a great Andrew Chuck story. My brother was a trainer in Boston, and every year before the season, he'd go and he'd buy the entire staff brand new suits. He would just take care of guys like the trainers. Yeah. Did he do that in Tampa too?
No way, really?
Trainers. Yeah, just all that stuff. He just loved. You just learned so much of what how much fun it is to be an NHLer. Because sometimes you get all worked up and stressed out, but he just loved being around everything. He did say there's one guy that one guy Dave always says that met my match for beer drinking. He couldn't beat Lyle Odline. And
Jesus, we all experienced that.
That was the only guy that he said the only guy.
Yeah, you don't want to get sucked in for lunch.
I got an Oderline lunch before my first NHL training camp. Turned into dinner, and the next day I puked and popped my blood vessel in my eye and met Mario Lemieux. That's what Lyle Oderline did to me. He's like, this young defenseman, fuck him, I'm gonna cripple him.
Going back to Andrew Chuck, would he be the one holding court and just telling all these old school stories when you guys would go for buckets of beers?
Oh yeah. He had all that stuff. Card games. Yeah, he always had. He played with some great players too. He played in Colorado, played in Boston with Bork, Jersey. I was a huge Dougie Gilmore fan back in Canada in the early 90s. Remember they made that run, the Leafs. So you get all those stories. It was fun. And Wendell Clark, all the, as a Canadian kid, the Leafs were on TV every night. So hearing all those stories. So it was great. He had tons of. He played with our assistant coach, Greg Ramsey. They played together in Buffalo, so he had all the. He was old.
Wasn't his nickname Wood because of the way he skated? Didn't they call him Wood? I remember an old Sports Illustrated article.
Already just made that up.
Maybe
I'll take up the old article.
Can we just pretend his nickname was Wood for the sake of the podcast?
Hey, a different
I never heard it once.
Another moment in that cup run I had to ask about was you went into Calgary Game 6 and they had the chance to win it right at home, and I think
they did win it.
St. Louis, yeah, well, Flames fans, right? Jelen, I guess, did score, but take me through like the team's vibe before that game. Was it kind of even loose in the locker room? Was it uptight? Just like the pressure being in Canada with the cup in the building, and obviously you guys go on to win 2 in a row. But do you remember pregame in terms of that Game 6?
I remember the night before we had team dinner and. We were pretty nervous. Yeah, it was. We played so bad at home.
Yep.
Like Game 5 and Game 1, I don't know what we were doing. Game 5, we were awful. So we kind of felt like maybe we got the awful out of us. So we give ourselves a better chance. But they were ready to celebrate the whole town. But I think that probably helped us. They probably played a little tight too. So. But it was, that was a tough plane ride, 5.5, 6 hours after, losing home ice. Now you kind of win that, you get 2 chances to win the cup, and now all of a sudden you got to go to Calgary. So that was tough. But Dave, I'm sure Dave I think we were having kokanee beers the night before. We were trying to find the little guy on the mountain.
Yeah.
They have them hidden in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dave changed it up to kokanee that night. They switched the mojo.
Oh, I love that. Now, did you have any clue that you were going to win the Conn Smythe? Were you as shocked as maybe some people? 7-game winners. I mean, you probably should have been, but how'd you feel after that?
Yeah, I think a winning team, and I think me and Marty maybe were going into that series leading the league or whatever. So or Iggy was probably in there too. So you knew whoever was going to win, and then but I could have went to Javi Bullen very easy too. He was so good for us. So yeah, at that point you're just celebrating the ice, and they say your name, you don't even know what to do. No one ever remembers. I was like, I don't remember anybody. What do you do with it? Do you go like this?
Andrew Chuck's put a beer in there.
I just went and put it on the bench, and I was like, what? I don't know what to do with this. I mean, it's an honor, but you just couldn't wait to see the actual cup. So
thanks for saving my awful question with a great little line there.
Where was the cup party after that summer when you had your day with the cup?
I had it back in home. I live so remote. I got both times. I was lucky. I got 48 hours with it because the way the connections of the flights and
Pearson, they went through Pearson. Cup got lost.
I heard. I saw a headline. You had a rough trip up there.
Yeah, I changed the country though.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did. We had it out in the fishing boat. We did a parade in the town, party at the rink I grew up on with a band, and just all that stuff. The next one was I had kids, and it was a whole different feel, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I saw a picture with you with a blue lobster. Was that also at the Stanley Cup?
I think we had a blue lobster in the Stanley Cup. Yeah, because Dad always every year there's a blue or yellow lobster come up, and my mom would freeze it or wait summer, put it in pictures and stuff. So
can you explain to people who don't know what a blue? Do they taste better? Is it just rare?
No, it's just a rare. Yeah, it's just you got a yellow one that was really weird, like burnt yellow.
Albino?
Yeah, it's just probably a pigmentation. I don't know what.
Yeah, genetic thing. You ever see one? It's half red and half white. There's it's split right down the middle. Yeah. Yep. Pretty wild.
It's just a weird. Maybe all the pollution in the ocean now.
Yeah.
It's doing something.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Conn Smythe, Richie. Is that something you even think about during the playoffs, or you just kind of hear your name called and oh shit, I won the Conn Smythe? I know because Javi Bullen and Marty had.
You just answered this.
Well. Yeah. Sorry, I was.
No, it's okay.
I was looking up the article that Dave Andrewchuk was called. What?
You better think of a fucking better answer, or we're gonna come over the table here, you fucker.
Well, I guess in the same vein, and I mentioned to the guys before, and I doubt you remember, but the night you guys won the cup, that was the first time I crashed the Stanley Cup party. And I don't know how I got back in the building, and you were sitting there with Marty and his buddy Phil from UVM, and I stumbled over. And again, I wouldn't expect you to remember 18 years later, but
for sure you remember the drunk guy who snuck in the locker room.
Yeah, right? Didn't we get you arrested?
I would have remembered that accent.
Yeah, it might have sounded a little different after 24 beers.
I thought we chucked you in a dumpster. Yeah, I got out.
Andrew Chuck's like, go get me a bucket of beers, you drunken fool.
I remember we walked. I wouldn't remember much. I remember me and my buddies from home walked home from the rink at 8:30 in the morning. That's when we finished the night. We were walking, and it was 90 degrees in Tampa. I had my game jersey over my suit, walking across the street to go back to Harbor Island. And I remember it was sweating bullets. And then I went on this show called The Cold Pizza. Remember Cold Pizza? ESPN. Yeah. I went on that, and I could tell the guy was just didn't want me talking. He was cutting me off. The show ended really quick.
Did you ever get to go when you played in New York? Did you ever do one of those late night shows like Dave Letterman or something?
No, never did.
No, you didn't have.
I watched some stuff, but I never. Lundqvist, he hogged all the late night shows.
Missile. Was there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as a cup run and that whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, right after it, he got rewarded with a flight to AK Bars Kazan.
Oh, the lockout year.
Yeah. What was
you went over there?
What was that all about?
Me and Vinny went over there just as an adventure, let's try this out. But it was hilarious. I ended up getting hip surgery. I was only over there for 6 or 7 weeks, but Vinny stayed the rest of the year. But
good cash though.
good cash.
Yeah.
Good cash.
So for those of you who probably we went pretty quick there. So the next year after you guys won the cup was the lockout year. Ended up going the full season. So you got hip surgery in the off season, and then Vinny obviously, like most cases, talked you into coming somewhere or vouched for you.
Yeah.
So tell us how the whole situation went down, and maybe some wild experiences that you went through in Russia, because we get guys from the KHL on, and I think it was still called the Super League back then, and probably ran by a mob boss.
Yeah, it was all oil. Yeah, I mean, Javi Bulin was on the team. There's a bunch, Kovalchuk, Kovalev. So it felt like an NHL team. Like there was a lot of Ruslan Saleh, Antropov.
Nick, I'm looking at this
English
roster.
Yeah, so Freddie Brathwaite was team, which kind of stories I'm allowed to say.
I heard he's got a huge rope. That's the only one that I know.
Well, he asked me, so I'm not going to quote that or not, but he asked me, he goes, me and Vinny, we went to get our physicals when we got there, and he goes, let me know when you get to the last doctor, what he does. He goes, it's the weirdest thing. Let me know. Like, call me when you're done. So we get to the last doctor, and the guy's like an 80-year-old Russian, and we stand in the room, and he just tells us to take our pants off. And we turn around, and we put our pants back on. We have a translator, and I still don't know what he was doing. So Freddie goes, did he make a team? He goes, oh, good. He said, I thought he was just doing it because it's me, and he went to see a black guy. But it was like a real doctor. And I'm like, what? The doctor experience there, like the needles, the needles were the size of your pinky, how thick they were. It was an interesting place. That's for sure.
Was there a particular straw that broke the camel's back? You're like, all right, this is it. I'm fucking out of here. Like, this is too much.
Yeah,
no, I didn't go over there hurt. It was getting worse and worse, and they kept saying, well, we're gonna give you these needles, and we're gonna do this. And I was like, no, can I go see my doctor? Like, go back, and we weren't allowed to go see our trainers or anything during the lockout, but we just went to the Tampa doctor, and he sent me somewhere. He's like, yeah, you got to get this fixed. So Vinny was kind of upset that I didn't come back, but. I think Danny Heatley might have taken my spot as one of the Canadian. Like you're allowed 2 or 3 imports or something. So at least Vinny had a buddy.
Somebody told us a story on the podcast where they saw Vinny during his time there, and he was like, "Get out of here!"
Like he saw a ghost.
Yeah, he's like, "Buddy, you got." Do you remember who it was, G? Okay, we had somebody on. They told the story, but definitely some rough experiences over there. And hey, them trying to talk you into taking vitamins every day might not be be a good thing.
I think it was Casperitis, maybe. Was it Casper?
Casper was on the team too.
Well,
so they took good care of us. That was a good thing. Like all the NHL guys really took good care of us because we went over there. They made sure, don't have a passport on your. If you're out in town, like giving us make sure you don't have a wallet, Yeah, even the cops would take it, and you have to pay them to get it back.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Halfway through the 07-08 season, though, I think it probably became evident Tampa wasn't gonna be able to re-sign you, or maybe you wanted to hit free agency and you got traded. So how did that all kind of come about? Was it hard for you? After the time with Vinny and Marty and winning the cup, and I think there was a couple of lean years coming up for the Lightning, but what was your kind of whole attitude going into that season with 1 year left before free agency?
Well, I signed 5-year deal, and it was 2 years into my 5-year deal.
Oh, no shit.
When, and we had our owner sold the team. They sold it to Orm Koulis and Lynn Berry. I don't know if you remember those guys.
Yeah.
And they wanted to, they traded Boyle. They just wanted to trade everybody that was making any kind of money except for Vinny and Marty, I guess. They stuck around, but yeah, they were just trying to dump as much salary as they can. I had a no trade, so they said they want to trade you, and I was like, that's fine, but I'm only if I can go to like Dallas at the time was a really good team in the West, and so I was like, if not, we'll wait until the off season. But it worked out to go to Dallas because I got a good playoff run there, and that was fun. But yeah, it was good to have control. It was going to happen once they say we don't want you. Like I'm going to go, but I just wanted to kind of have. If you negotiate a no trade, you may as well use it.
So that's my bad. I that's my fault. I didn't know that. So that must have been kind of upsetting then, right? With kind of the base you had there and the success when they finally told you that, or was it more like with this new ownership? All right, I guess if this is the case, I'm done.
No, it was. Yeah, I knew that everything was going to change. Everybody was going to get fired, and you could tell that all that was coming. But it was tough to leave Vinny, Marty, and Danny Boyle. We grew up together down there. So yeah, it was a bummer. The first time, I guess, the only time I got traded. But it was it's tough when you win a Stanley Cup with guys you've been there for 7 or 8 years. It was a bummer. But Dallas was a lot of fun and met some great guys. Played with some great guys there.
Okay, before we go any further, here's a word from our very good friends at Labatt. As you're likely aware by now, Spittin Chiclets has partnered with Labatt to make Big Deal Brewing, and we couldn't be happier about this. The golden ale we'll be dropping is 2 things. It's delicious and it's crushable. And it's also going to be your favorite new beer when hockey season kicks off. And this isn't something boys just said yes to. No, we sampled the beers. We gave feedback. We made sure this is a beer we will all drink. We tried it out. We okayed it. We loved it. You're going to love it. And boy, you're going to love it because it's damn good. And you're going to look for it this fall. Big Deal Brewing coming to you soon. But in the meantime, please do enjoy a Labatt, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Share a Labatt.
Yeah, I was going to say the guy who played there, Steve Ott. He's a guy who seems to have some colorful stories about him as well. Any adventures with him? Laughing already.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat. He battled for you, that's for sure. He'd do anything out there. But some nights you just need earplugs. Like just he was bothering. He was starting to bother his own team. He was chirping so much. And then we put him and Aves. We got him and Aves together for 20 games or whatever it was. It was just like chaos.
Hey, Brad, I'll never forget a game in Boston. There was like the biggest gong show they might have had that year. You guys had. It was like Avery and Ott got kicked out. It was a disaster. I imagine you saw a bunch of that.
Medano said to the media after, "I'm going to get an office job if this is what we're going to do every game." It was just complete. Yeah. It was just a complete gong show.
Well, Avery was obviously a different animal in some of the stuff he would say. That was that the year that there was kind of a falling out, and he ended up making those comments publicly in Calgary.
Yeah, Holly was the co-GM and knew him from Detroit and brought him in. And Sean left New York. He didn't want to be in. Like, he got there and he just wasn't a Dallas guy. And then those two winding each other up, Otter and Aves. That was a recipe for a disaster there. So, he lasted, I think it was like November, right? Late November or something. He was gone.
Yeah, that was a quick rip. Now, going back to St. Louis or Ott, because I would imagine at some point Ott does get a head coaching job. Could you see either of those guys coaching when they were done?
Definitely Marty. Yeah, Marty was. That's just how he played. You get back from every shift and he's going over everything and what did you see here? Like, he just loved it. Where Vinny was totally opposite. Vinny didn't watch hockey. He just didn't want to talk about hockey. He just show up and play. There's two different animals. But Marty, you could tell I knew. I just talk to Marty all the time. He's been trying to get back in coaching for a while now. But I think, it was a great opportunity in Montreal. So go back to his hometown. Otter, Otter's a rink rat like that too. But I didn't see the coaching part in Otter like he did Marty. Marty was all into it.
After Dallas, you end up coming here to New York, signed as a free agent. Now, you mentioned Torts was the reason you come here. What was the other allure about coming to Manhattan to play?
Money.
Other than the cash.
All the cash they sent into his bank account.
Duffel bags of dough.
I think original 6 team, New York City, obviously. Playing in Tampa and Dallas, it's kind of like I went through an ownership bankruptcy in both places, and it's kind of like, we missed the playoffs 3 years around Dallas, and I'd like to go somewhere where we have a stable ownership and play in original 6 city, and so it was a little closer to the East Coast for mom and dad. So it was just great. We had a lot of fun, and like I said, we came up short, but 2 good runs. One LA run, lost 2 double overtime games in the finals and an overtime game. So you'd think you'd win one of those maybe, but it was a lot of fun.
I remember that free agency. You were the number 1 guy that everyone was looking for, and it was I'm pretty sure it came down to the Leafs and the Rangers. Were you close to going to
actually
business
more
Leafs
LA.
at all?
It would
Oh, it was
have
LA?
been LA. Yeah, it would have been LA or New York. The way it wasn't working out in my mind, but and then LA won 2 cups, so and beat us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So you wouldn't have been a Leaf?
It was fun.
You wouldn't have went to Toronto?
I would say Leafs would have been like 4th. I remember Tampa. Stevie Y talked to me, and they didn't have a lot of cap space, but like that was kind of an allure to go back and play with Marty and Vinny again. And but in the end, it was just more like original 6. New York was,
making sure the checks were going to clear.
Everybody says, if you can play at MSG, why not? So, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience.
Brett, I've asked other players who've been on both sides of the Stanley Cup. Does the sting of losing register worse than the joy of winning it?
I think my situation is maybe a little different. I won,
right?
10 years before, and then you lose. It stings for sure, but I can't imagine if I hadn't won how it would have felt. So I think lucky enough to win one before you lose in the final, I think would probably help it a little bit. Although it did. Winning in New York would have been pretty epic. That's still, I still think about that all the time because I got lucky and got back the next year to Chicago. But it was there, I was there for 1 year. New York, I was there longer and kind of knew the team more. But yeah, the New York thing, it's fine, but you just always wonder what kind of celebration, what kind of parade, all that stuff in New York City, how cool that would have been. Because Chicago was pretty epic and a lot different than winning it in Tampa. I love Tampa is a lot of fun, but going to an old school original 6 city and the parade in Chicago was crazy. The amount of people that showed up.
It was nuts.
Yeah, because the Rangers bought you out, which you probably pissed at the time, but it ended up sort of being a blessing in disguise, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall coming to that lockout with I retired before my contract's over. The cap hit goes some crazy, I don't know, whatever. Remember, you could sign those long. I signed a 9-year deal. There was no way I was going to, I probably would have played 6 years. And that's kind of how it was structured. I was 31, 32 at the time. So once we came out of that lockout and they gave you 2 free buyouts or if you retired, you screwed the team. So you kind of knew it was coming. So, but that's life.
And like with the career you'd had, I mean, yeah, it'd been a couple tough years in New York, but you must have had a bunch of other options when you ended up going to Chicago as well, right? Like, did you see they already had the 2 cups and it was pretty evident you wanted to be there? Or was that another tough decision to make?
No, you know what? There was some other teams, and then Chicago called like a day or 2 before, and I was like, oh, you just lost in the finals, and you kind of got the itch again. Like it had been 10 years in between finals. And Chicago just lost to LA in Game 7 overtime, and their core's ready to win again. So it was just like, I was just told my agent, like, make this work. Like, I know it's only 1 year, but let's try to make this work. This will be a pretty cool experience. So.
Was it a big adjustment for you? Kind of, when you were in Tampa, obviously one of the stars of the team, and then Chicago, I guess, a bit more of a role player. Was that an adjustment, or you would just find to take whatever job?
I think, I mean, older, but you're playing with Patrick Kane, and I don't really think that's a bad deal.
Right. Yeah.
And then you just being around some of those players is great. Like I always knew how good Hossa was, but to be with him every day, crazy how good he was and how strong he was on pucks and how much he battled defensively. Little stuff like that you always think of him as Hossa scoring a bunch of goals. So being around Duncan Keith was. That year he won the Conn Smythe. I had no idea he was that good.
Yeah.
He was crazy out there, and they were all. I mean, they all eat perfect. They love and breathe, eat hockey, and you just tell it didn't really matter anything that was going on in the regular season. They were just waiting for the playoffs to start, and they just turned it into another gear. And it was a lot of fun. Total different experience. Tampa. We were all young and kind of dumb and naive. Doing it for the first time, but I was kind of a methodical machine in Chicago. You just knew that they're going to give themselves a chance to win.
And you had a pretty good run that playoffs. I want to say 15 points, and then probably the famous one of the Kane point when you ended up setting them back. How did you not shoot that fucking puck, man? How did you not shoot that?
He's a dish.
I was trying to. I wanted to get one more contract out of Chicago. I figured if I gave Kaner the empty netter, maybe fit me in.
Well, hey, but then you end up getting offered more from Detroit.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Kaner. Everybody in the rink knew that was going to Kaner at some point. I just had to wait long enough to freeze Bishop, but that was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Kaner's an awesome guy. Another guy that I had no idea before I got there, but what a great human being he is.
And then in Detroit, you got to play with a couple legends there. I know it was toward the tail end of the careers, Zetterberg and Datsuk. It must have been a cool experience, even though, like I said, it was toward the tail end.
Yeah, I remember Zetterberg and I talked at the end of the year. It would have been fun to play with each other when we were 25. Pavel, same thing. They were getting a little older and slower, as was I. So, but still seeing some of the stuff they do, and you just can tell they've been around winning teams, and they're unbelievable players. That's for sure. They did more in their backhand than most players did on their forehand. Those two. True
that. Were you aware that was going to be your last year, and just like how hard was it to eventually make the decision to hang them up?
Yeah, I was talking to Anaheim. I had a couple things kind of going, but it was going to be another move. Just about to have our second kid, and it was kind of, I don't know. I just didn't feel like going in and trying to. If I would have went back to Detroit and know the same people, I didn't feel like going in and trying to relearn the locker room coach. It's like for another year, and I was lucky enough to win. It was just getting to the point. I just felt like I was getting crankier with less playing time. You're just not the same, and I didn't want to be that guy anymore. And that was it. So my wife's Australian, so we packed up and went to Australia for 4.5 months, and it was a perfect way to just shut off hockey.
That's awesome.
Wow, how sick's the golf over there? I heard it's the best in the world.
The Sandbelt is amazing. Yeah, it's as good as it gets.
Oh shit.
They don't do any it's not like here, like there's no caddy, there's no the service part of the golf is a lot different.
Yeah, there's no amenities, but it's just pure golf.
No amenities. It's just pure golf. You pull your own bag and you go in and you pay for your tee time and your credit card. You walk out and they give you 4 balls to hit on the range, and that's about it.
You gotta go.
Where you go.
You gotta go retrieve your own ones. Put them on a string.
Have at it, and then you gotta dodge snakes everywhere. Every golf course hands out if you get bit by a tiger snake, if you get bit by a brown snake, don't do this. Don't try to whack it with your club. I guess it can climb up the club and bite your hand and stuff. So that's it's a little scary over there. With the amount of things that want to eat you.
Other than golf, what interests you? What do you do now that you're retired to occupy your time?
So I work with a financial firm out of the city called Douglas Winthrop. Try to raise money or create relationships on the golf course, or doing stuff like that. And kind of show them what kind of product it is, and then obviously the people that went to Harvard take over after that. But I do that, and then just some little stuff. Untuck It. I started with Untuck It way back in New York, and it was kind of a small owner in that. And then we're doing another thing called Greatness Wins right now with Wayne and Jeter. So that's kind of fun to poke around with that stuff. And I'm just kind of little investment business stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but maybe hit a home run here or there someday down the road.
Yeah, I was going to wear my Untuck It shirt today, but I put it on and it's a little tighter from the Pink Whitney I've been drinking during the playoffs.
The Untuck It doesn't help a barrel.
I was wondering if you're still involved with that or not.
Yeah. He did a great job. It's been fun to see that grow.
And then where are you playing golf? In Long Island? Are you at a national, or did I get that wrong?
Yep, I play out there, National Golf Links.
Oh, what a place!
We'll be up there July 1st for the summer with the kids, and then I'll go up to Canada in August, and then back here for school. So yeah, we'll get out of Florida when it's getting really hot here now. All the golf pretty much closes down here, right?
Well, Brad, I think the hockey fans are going to be pumped to hear from you, man. We thank you so much for your time, an incredible career.
Yeah, what a run.
Oh, man. And then obviously congratulations and best of luck, everything in your future ventures. And hopefully we bump into you sometime, and who knows, maybe a sandbagger. against this guy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Witz and I have been trying to figure out golf at some point. We got to figure it out.
Yeah, we this summer we got to make it happen. We got to do some home and home stuff. But like Biz said, man, just an unreal career. It was a pleasure watching you play and playing against you. And I think for a guy who's known as kind of quiet, fans will really enjoy hearing your side of the story. So thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Big thanks to Richie for joining us a few weeks back for the chat. Awesome fella, man. Great interview. Hopefully you enjoyed it. His interview was also brought to you by Roman. Testosterone affects a lot of aspects of men's fitness and health. From sex drive to muscle and bone mass, the experts believe testosterone plays a huge role in our body's natural function. But men's testosterone starts to deplete with age, which is why it's important you support it early. Roman T Support is meant to help men maintain their body's natural testosterone production with the proprietary supplement formulated by Roman's in-house doctors. Roman T Support is not testosterone replacement therapy, and it is not meant to treat people with testosterone deficiency syndrome. So go to getroman.com/chiclets to get $15 off your first order of Roman T Support. That's getroman.com/chiclets. One more time, getroman.com/chiclets. All right, gang. Well, hopefully you're enjoying our summer as much as you're enjoying these interviews here. But do not forget to check out our Chiclets Cup videos. We had the one from the Big Deal Selects, actually two, parts 1 and 2 of the Big Deal Selects, parts 1 and 2 of the Barstool team, where Granley showed me up with the hat trick, threw the hat in my face. Good stuff. If you haven't seen it, by all means, check it out. Also, I was on the dog walk this week. We did a little movie draft. Feel free to check that out as well. And again, we dropped a whole bunch of new merch. Gee, what else we got? Am I missing anything?
Yeah, we actually are dropping a behind-the-scenes video from the entire Chiclets Cup. That'll release this Wednesday on the Spittin Chiclets YouTube channel, kind of following Merles around, following yourself around. So we'll kind of just really capture, it won't be, a behind-the-scenes of business team. It won't be a behind-the-scenes of the Barstool team. It kind of just captures what the Chiclets Cup really is.
Nice. Looking forward to checking that out. So again, if you haven't seen the previous ones, by all means, check them out or give them another view. But either way, again, hopefully you're enjoying our summer interview series, and we'll check in with you next week. Have a great week.
The boys will be back next week, RA. The boys will be back next week.
Spoiler alert.